In the last video, I introduced you to my new CNC machine, my Avid Pro 4848. But that video probably left you wondering, how did assembly go? So I wanted to go back, take some time, and give you an idea of what went into getting the CNC to this point. Everything I needed to build the CNC showed up in these 27 boxes. UPS dropped these packages right off here in my garage. One of the cool things about Avid CNCs is that freight shipping isn't included. Just UPS truck backed up to the garage and unloaded the 27 boxes. Here are the tools that I needed to build the machine. I chose to use my impact driver with a ball hex bit to speed up assembly. I started unboxing all the aluminum extrusion, but chose to keep everything else in their boxes until I needed it. This really helped keep things organized because all the boxes are labeled really well and it's referenced in the assembly instructions. One thing I try to do is keep things really organized because there are hundreds, if not thousands of parts in all of these boxes. It would be really easy to get overwhelmed if you just opened all the boxes and dumped all the parts out. One of the things I needed to decide before I got too far into assembly was if I wanted any space on my work bed for vertical work holding. Honestly, I went back and forth for a few days just trying to figure out if I would use it, if I needed it, if I wanted it, and I decided to not include it in the initial build. Although it'd be super nice to have it as an option, I would be sacrificing some horizontal spoil board space for it. Something I got really familiar with are these roll-in T-nuts. These T-nuts are what slide into the channels in the extrusions and connects everything together, holds everything together. Like most projects I start, I don't fully grasp the scale of the project before I start it. Honestly, this whole process would have been easier and a little more enjoyable with a second person. It's a pretty big undertaking for one person. So I went into this project thinking it would take me a few days, and a couple weeks later, I got it completely together. Woo! But that wasn't like full 8-hour days, full time working on this for 2 weeks. I had to juggle all the other work I had to do as well, and so it was really broken up and a lot of stopping and starting. But I would say it's a safe bet to give yourself a week to get this machine together, learn the software, and make your first cuts. Overall, I found this build process to be really straightforward. I didn't make any major mistakes where I had to unassemble and reassemble parts. And I attribute that to the very straightforward directions. Once I had the machine assembled, I turned my attention to wiring up an outlet for 220 volts. The control box of the machine runs off 110, but the 4 horsepower spindle needs 220. All right, so I've been getting this thing set up for about 2 weeks now, and I'm to the point where I'm gonna put power to it. So let's see if I did everything right and it moves in the correct direction. Next, I checked the spindle. That went better than expected. Now that I know everything is moving as it should be, I can move on to leveling the machine, squaring the gantry, and tramming the spindle. The next step was to check if the gantry was square to the machine. Technically, these were my first cuts with the machine, so this was a little nerve-wracking. For this test, basically the machine cuts 4 1/4-inch holes, and you put dowels in those holes and measure diagonally. If those measurements are exactly the same, then you know the gantry is square to the table. The final thing to do to get this machine dialed in was to tram the spindle. Inserted this massive 1/2-inch cutter. And what we're looking for is just no ridges. So as you can see here, this test, I do have some ridges. So I had to make some adjustments, some slight adjustments, and ran the test again, and I got a lot better results the second time. So the last thing to check is the tramming from side to side along the x-axis. So all you have to do is flip that file 90 degrees so it's running from left to right, and repeat the same steps that I did before. So at this point, my CNC is 100% dialed in. I'm getting so close to actually making my first project, and I'm super excited to get something on this bed and get it cutting. The next step will be to get my wasteboard set up, get dust collection set up before I level my wasteboard, because I don't want the MDF dust everywhere, and so much more I have planned for this. And that is going to be in the next video. So in order to make sure you don't miss that, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell below. That way you're notified when that video comes out. So if this is the first video you've seen of my Avid series, click on this playlist right here. I've got all the videos concerning this new CNC machine in my shop in one playlist for you to check out. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.